Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to this Masters of Horror Season 1 episode review video as part of my current February 2024 series, where I'm taking a look at all 13 episodes, reviewing all 13 episodes of Season 1 of Masters of Horror, which, of course, I have here in my DVD collection for Season 1 from 2005, 2006. So today we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the later episodes from season one, and that is Haeckel's Tale, also known as Clive Barker's Haeckel's Tale. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So this is the 12th episode of the first season of the television series Masters of Horror. It originally aired in North America on January 27th, 2006. George A. Romero was originally supposed to direct this episode, but he was replaced by John McNaughton, who, of course, directed, probably most famously known for Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Because of scheduling problems, that's why George Romero couldn't do it. The episode script is based on Clive Barker's short story, first published in the anthology Dark Delicacies, Original Tales of Terror and the Macabre. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the premise of this episode. As far as the story itself goes, so this is a gothic horror tale. Basically, it's set in the late 19th century, with a young man named Edward Ralston coming to see an old woman, Ms. Carnation, who lives in an old cabin deep in the woods of upstate New York. Ralston asks Ms. Carnation, a necromancer, to revive his recently deceased wife. She refuses, but then decides to tell him the story of Ernest Haeckel and says that if he still wishes to revive his wife afterwards, she will do as he asks. So then we get into then she kind of tells this tale to this guy about Ernest Haeckel, who's trying to follow in the footsteps of Victor Frankenstein, but is unsuccessful with his attempts to create life from a scientific standpoint. He learns of Monte, Monte, Montesquino, I don't know, of necromancer, but believes that the man is a charlatan. So yeah, that's kind of the setup and the premise that gets us into the story. As far as the cast goes, we have Steve Bassick, Derek Cecil, Pablo Coffey, Christopher Delisle, Tom McBeath, Gerald Plunkett, John Polito, and Leela Savasta. So that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for episode 12 from season one of Masters of Horror, Haeckel's Tale, from January 2006. I actually enjoyed this episode looking back on it. This is going to be a shorter review. I don't have too much to say about it. Um, I have I have my pros and a couple of cons. It's certainly not a perfect episode, but I actually didn't mind this one. I think having a gothic horror tale in a different setting and a different time sort of changed up some of the more recent episodes that I reviewed, and I enjoyed that aspect of this episode. So let's start with the things that I enjoyed about Haeckel's Tale. Um, as I said, I enjoyed this period piece, kind of the gothic horror setting and the premise here. It changes it up from the other episodes. So that was the first thing I noticed. The acting is good, I think, by all involved, including our main lead here of Derek Cecil, who plays Ernst Haeckel. I thought everybody did a really good job, really brought these characters to life. Um, I thought it was a pretty well directed episode by John McNaughton, especially given the musical cues that were used throughout and the overall look and feel of the episode. A good cinematography throughout this episode. I really enjoyed the last 20 minutes or so. They're really intense. It really ratchets up the intensity, kind of everything that the episode's been leading up to. Um, it has a good amount of gore in the last 15-20 minutes, a lot along with a lot of sex and nudity, um, and a pretty good twist to the end of the episode as well that I thought really was effective. Um, and then also my final pros, I have to say that I thought the makeup and practical gore effects were pretty good, having to do with the undead in this episode towards the end. and those that would soon be the undead. That's more the gore effects, basically, as one character gets torn apart pretty good by the undead. So I can see why this was set up for George Romero to direct, because this would have been right up his alley. And whether he would have done a better job than John McNaughton, I'm not really sure. I think McNaughton did just a fine job with this episode, given the layout of it and stuff. But those are my pros for Haeckel's Tale from episode 12 from 2006. As far as the cons go, I really only have two, and this is more of a warning for people. I didn't mind it so much, but this is more of a slow burn kind of episode with quite a bit of filler kind of scenes in it, which I feel like was there to stretch out the runtime, because most of these episodes are 50 to 60 minutes, about an hour long. And then I think the premise here, this episode would have been better served and would have been a tighter story to be about 30, 35 minutes, I think. So I think it would have worked better as like a 30-minute, like a short film or an episode that was about half an hour. Just tightening up some of those filler scenes and part of the episode. And then my other con with this episode is the ending scene, which I enjoyed the ending twist, but the ending scene is a bit cheesy, which kind of goes against the overall tone for the majority of the episode. Therefore, overall, it doesn't really jive or come together from beginning to end the way that I think it could have. It kind of has a tonal shift at the end there, with being a little bit more cheesy and silly in some ways than what the overall episode before that sort of laid out to the viewer. So those are my cons for it. The episode itself, I don't think there's anything really wrong with. I think it's just more of this format having to be an hour, and then that tonal shift that I talked about. But I'm going to give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it well enough, and like I said, there's a slow burn aspect to it. So if that's not really your thing, this episode might not work as well for you. But overall, 7.5 out of 10 for Haeckel's Tale, episode 12 from season 1 of Masters of Horror from January 2006. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this episode, what you think of it. Do you like it more than I do, less than I do? Why not? Please like this video, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews. And also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my great horror content, not only the rest of this series, which will include, at the end of February, my top 5 episodes from the season, as well as my bottom 3 episodes from the season. But also, excuse me, I also have a lot of great horror content coming out beyond this, and basically through the rest of the year, so you don't want to miss any of that. Be sure to subscribe. But with that being said, I hope everybody's enjoying this Masters of Horror Season 1 review series. Hope you enjoyed this particular review. And as always, stay scared. Bye.